Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Naked with Dr. Money. I'm Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, known as Dr. Money. And as you know, I come to you every week and I share a little bit about what's going on along my journey as a CEO of ZenoVerse Wellness Group, a global wellness company where I'm opening up wellness resorts and organic farms around the globe. But here we have a conversation about mindset. So, as usual, we talk about mindset, motivations, and manifestations. And as you know, I love to take my guest through this journey. So, I'll usually present to them the question of their mindset. When did they first realize they had a particular mindset? How has that mindset contributed to their motivations? And more importantly, how have those motivations contributed in terms of the manifestations along their journey? Well, today won't be any different. I have a guest who I haven't had a chance to catch up with in a minute. So I'm excited. I'm actually excited when I think about it that this show has allowed me an opportunity to reconnect with friends and colleagues from times past. Today, my guest is Overton Wilkins. And Overton and I, whether I want to acknowledge it or not, we go back over a few decades. Because when I think about the fact that my son Sterling, who is 27 now, was not even a thought when I met Overton. I met him pretty early along my journey when I had recently relocated to Los Angeles. So we had an interesting touch point, and I'll share that story with you. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Overton into this conversation. Hey, Overton, how you doing?
I'm fine, Steph. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to be seen and good to see you again. Like you said, we had been out of touch for a minute, but until you said that about 27 years, I just said, wow. I Sterling is 27. That's unbelievable. But
And
it is time marches on. That's one thing about time. It waits for no one.
It waits for no one. And Sterling wasn't even a thought at the time that you and I met.
Nope.
You know, I sort of feel a little bit like that same point again, because at that time I had taken on a big opportunity and launched and expanded my agency. And, that's how we met on the advertising side of the world.
Right.
And that really was the process and the impetus to the company that actually I've created now and launched. My legacy business is what I call it. ZenoVerse Wellness Group has been a long-term dream. And so when I left advertising, I went into real estate development with the desire to develop my own properties and communities and be able to create those types of permanent structures, so talk about having a mindset, right?
That's
It's been
mindset.
a long journey.
But you've been on the same trajectory, so that's good.
Yes. Well, what I prayed for was that a couple things would be accomplished. One, I would get Sterling out the nest. And number two, that I would still have the energy and the desire to go through the pains of birthing another startup, because I think it's sort of like giving birth to a child when you birth a new business. And I think that every mom sort of forgets when they get pregnant that you do have to deliver that baby and that part. And so I liken raising capital to that final delivery process, which is the painful part of launching a new business, is, kissing all these frogs, trying to find your prince or your princess, the combination of those folks.
That's so true. So true.
Absolutely. So what have you been up to?
Well, I'm still in the advertising business. I've been in the advertising business for over 27 years, and it's been a journey. I tell people all the time, I come from a background of entrepreneurs. My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned alcohol beverage locations, otherwise known as in the East Coast liquor stores. And so, my uncle, who I'm named after, owned a cleaning company. So I've always seen the entrepreneur side, and the selling side was really brought on to me when I had an opportunity to move to New Jersey and work in the casino business and started doing advertising and sales for them. And that's how I winded up meeting you in California, because when that pivoted to the right, meaning that they were laying people off, I had the opportunity to come to California. And I've always wanted to come to California. And as part of my mindset was, hey, I can go and complete one more dream that I had, was to come to California. I had no intention to stay no longer than a year or two, and that morphed into a lot longer than that. But coming out here was a interesting combination of luck and connections and just developing relationships. And I've been here the whole time. I launched my own company, Longfellow Media Group. Basically what we do is that we help small to medium-sized businesses get into the digital world and show them how to do the digital world along with the traditional advertising like radio and newspapers and all the other types of advertising that people can use that fits their number one, their budget, and fits their objective. So that's what I've been doing so far. It's been fun, and like everyone else, we've suffered through the pandemic, and we're now coming out of it. We could always use more clients, but just the feel of just getting people into the right, you said, the right mindset of what they need to do to move their business ahead, and that's what we do. We basically media consultants to them to show them how do I get my business, what do I need to get my business up and going, and then we just try to use the type of advertising that would help them and not hurt them in their budget. That's what we're doing now.
Excellent. Well, definitely, businesses always need help. We're going to be adding support in that particular bucket. So we'll definitely have a conversation with you. As I mentioned, ZenoVerse on the wellness side, we're in the wellness resort business. So I have wellness resorts and organic farm around the world. And I'm launching in Jamaica. So I have about 8 locations that I'm working on closing in Jamaica, as well as a honey farm just outside of London. And then I have about 10 more locations in the pipeline, 5 in Africa, different countries, Cyprus, 2 in Italy, and on and on and on.
Oh, wow. You have to have a very strong mindset because that is a lot of work to be done.
Well,
I'm getting tired just listening to it. I'm like, ooh, I'm exhausted.
Well, that's why I said is that this was a long game, and so if I describe, who I think I am in terms of this iteration is I sort of see myself as the Hilton Corporation for wellness, where I have both business owned properties as well as we'll have licensed properties because I have a bucket of intellectual properties. I'm in conversations to do a license model where we license the spa for some other hotel owners and operators. And in some cases, we'll flag other properties with our brands as they become established and known brands. And I've created some outstanding brands. If you ask me, my 420 wellness brands are like your W hotels. They're boutiques. They're either located on like an organic farm or a beachfront property. So they're really funky and fun. And for those that are curious about medicinal cannabis and psilocybins, that's definitely the brand to check out. And then Amani Hava is more of my kind of corporate brand. That's sort of like your Four Seasons. So we have a little bit larger footprint for those properties. And then my ultra luxury brand is called Turquoise. And that's where we deal with more of kind of the, high-end CEO, celebrity types. And for my first iteration, Turquoise will be a ground up development. So the real Turquoise won't come online for about, 5 or more years because I think I need about $1 billion to build it the way that I want to build it. If you're familiar with the Hard Rock guitar in Florida, I've got a real off the, chart design for Turquoise. But I'm doing an iteration called Turquoise Villas. And I found a couple locations that meet the standard of what a turquoise villa would look and feel like. So I'm excited.
This if I can be of any assistance, please let me know.
Absolutely.
You have a lot of things going on there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So today we're talking about mindset, and I'm glad that you shared some insight on yours. So tell me, you said that you realized that you had a particular mindset when you found the opportunity to shift from the East Coast to the West Coast. But when do you think that you first realized that you had a particular mindset? And it's a two-pronged question. When do you realize that you had a particular mindset? And number 2, do you think your mindset is the result of your nature, how you were nurtured, or a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both because I I have this, people say, you have a gift or you have something that I always tell young people when I talk to them, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That's my mantra, because I love what I do. So I don't look at it as work. And ever since I was younger, which was a while ago, I've always had the ability to sell things into people. Not like you sell people like, okay, you want to buy a television. Just having a conversation with people and showing them what their needs and wants and how I can help them meet their needs and wants. And it just came to me naturally. And I just developed it from selling newspapers, going door to door selling newspapers, to working in my dad's stores and just dealing with customers and dealing with people. And I just had an ability just to speak to people and say, look, let me find out what your problem is. Because see, I have to care about your problem, and you have to care about the solution. If I don't care about your problem, I can't find a solution for you. So I try to find out what is the main point for you, and I find that point out, and that's just been, I just, people say, oh, you have a gift of doing this. I don't look at it as a gift. It's just something I do naturally, and I just enjoy it. I tell people all the time, they say, when are you going to retire? I say, oh, I'm doing the R&R program. They say, what's the R&R? I said, retirement and repass. When I pass away, I'm retired. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Because I love what I'm doing. I mean, I could do it every day. I mean, I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy, looking at like you're doing with your baby that you're about to birth, those businesses. And I look at them the same way you said it. It's their baby. And how do you want to grow your baby? Your baby has to crawl before it walks. It has to walk before it runs. And a lot of people want to go right from the birth to running. And it doesn't work that way. It's a process. And I try to show them using the media how that process works, because everyone wants to be the McDonald's. And I tell them every day, McDonald's has a lot more budget than most people have. And McDonald's advertises every day to stay top of mind. And that's the most important thing in advertising, is staying top of mind. That's the mindset. You have to be able to say, when you're hungry, you think of my product. If you want to go on a vacation, especially if you're looking for something healthy like your endeavors are going to be, you become top of mind to them. And how do you become that? People like me put that message out there and try to find that core group that is looking for that, because everybody's not looking for it. But there's a core group that is, and that's the group that help you find.
So, absolutely. Spoken like a true pro.
Well, I take that as truly a compliment coming from you, because I remember you from my ad days, and you were a great client, and you knew what you were doing. And some of the people, they think they know what they're doing, but the media business is kind of tricky, especially nowadays with all the new nuances that are coming online, like the AIs and all the other, different types of Google reach, and just a variety of things that's out there now that's commanding eyeballs. And trying to get people to look at your product when there's so many things out there that distract them is the hardest thing to do. And that's what our company do. We're a boutique media company. That meaning, basically what you said about being what we call it, white label. That's what we call it. We do the marketing for you. We do all the grunt work for you, and you get all the credit. That's how it goes. People say, "Oh, that was a fantastic promotion you put on. That's a great commercial I ran," and you take all the credit for it. And we do all the work behind the scenes to make you look good, and that's what we try to do every day. And we don't need the praise. We don't care about the praise. We just care about you tell someone else, and then that person comes and does the same thing with us.
Well, that's the same thing that I did in advertising. People used to say that at the time that I came on the scene, there were some folks that did a lot of self-promotion, and I did very little of that. I was more about representing my clients, and it wasn't me and the client; it was the client.
That's what people in my business fail to realize. It's always the client.
It's always the client.
Always the client. Nobody. You see this commercial on TV right now, you think it's McDonald's did, or you think it's Ford. No, it's people like me that put those things together, and Ford and them take full credit for it, which they paid for it, so they can take full credit for it, and there's no problem with it. That's the mindset that I have. I mean, I just have a mindset of service, just providing service, and I learned that a long time ago, how to provide service to people, from being, like I said, selling newspapers, making sure you put the newspaper in the door, or put the newspaper on the front porch, or put the newspaper in the mailbox. Everybody wants it different. That's part of the service that you do to keep a client.
Absolutely. No, that's definitely true. So it's kind of like you sort of addressed it, but I'll just call it out just for say so. Having the mindset that you've had, that certainly has fueled your motivations.
Yes,
and certainly along the journey, I say we go through peaks and valleys. how do you think your mindset has sustained you? You know, we know how it is when everything is going great, right? But in particular, have you been able to rely upon from your mindset when things are kind of like, okay, we're rebuilding, or, you know, we have to pivot, or things of that nature?
Oh, I've pivoted. I think I've pivoted over 15, 20 times. And when I say that, I know I've pivoted at least 3 major times in my life. Because, like I said before, I started out in the hotel industry business, working in the casino business. And that was one pivot in marketing. And then when I got into the advertising part, I had to pivot to the advertising part. And then I had to pivot in the advertising part to the new nuances of the advertising, which meant digital came on the scene, and we had to incorporate the digital portion in it. Because when I started out in the 80s and the 90s, digital didn't exist. The people don't believe that. It's just like they don't believe cell phones didn't exist. They think that's always been. But digital didn't exist, so I had to reshape our business, reshape our structure, reshape our conversations to include digital business. Now, digital is surpassed everybody else. Because I remember digital in its infancy when nobody knew nothing about it and was scared of it. And now it's 85% of my business is digital because of the fact that I had to pivot to that realm of understanding how that is delivered, how that can manifest, how that can help my clients reach their goals and move their product. So it's a constant. I tell people all the time, everybody evolves. If you're the same person you were 10 years ago, there's a problem. It's a big problem. Because you have
Yes.
to. I was just speaking to a client yesterday, and I shared with him. He was talking about different things that's going on in the world. How prices have gone up. I said, one thing you have to remember: every day the price of life goes up. Every day. What it cost yesterday, it's going to be more tomorrow. What it cost 3 years ago, you can't go back to that because the price of life goes up every day, and you have to be prepared for that. That's part of your mindset, like you were saying. People have to understand that nothing's going to stay the same. Everything evolves, everything changes, and you have to be open-minded and have the capacity to say, you know what, I can change too. And if you do, you can move on. If you don't, those are the people you hear that are complaining and saying the world is coming to, going to hell in a hat basket, as they say, because they're not willing to evolve into the next stage that you have to.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And I too remember I was on my way thinking that I was, on the way out of the advertising business just as the business was beginning to become digital. And with my tech background, initially I considered it for a second, but I really knew that I wanted to transition into real estate. Especially, and then when my mother died unexpectedly, that was the final it. It's like, okay, I really have to learn this business because I love the asset class. And so I didn't really know as much about it because she was the one that knew real estate. So I didn't have to know real estate. I could be brilliant and make money in advertising. And then I was going to have her, help execute and build a portfolio. So I had to learn, and it was a big kind of scary thing to take the risk to start all over. I remember when I finally got into the USC Ross program, it seemed like that was like a secret society trying to get in the program. But when I finally got in and came out, it was like the best experience, for me. And I'm so glad that I decided, instead of starting my company, then going to work for an established company so that I could really get an opportunity to do the projects at the size and scale. The reason I could talk about what it is I'm doing now is because my smallest development project was a $150 million project. So I'm saying, hey guys, I figured out how to take 100 million and create 10, of what would normally I would do with just one. So trust and believe, I got something going over here, right? But as everything in the beginning, when you're kind of early, when you're introducing something to people who don't get the mindset, when I talk to, sadly, most of my folks, they're like, oh, you're planning group events. Yeah, no, how about I own the properties, maybe,
Right.
How about I'm a developer?
Yeah, that's a subset of what I'm doing. That's a way subset of what I'm doing.
Right.
That's for you to do. That's for you to come in.
Exactly. Yeah, you book your events at my property. That's really how it should be,
Yeah, that's exactly how it should.
Exactly how it should be.
That's the mindset. I mean, and sadly, so many people don't understand their mindsets and how they have to control it to make it grow, because they get, like you said before, you get knocked down. Well, you get knocked down, you got to get back up. Because everybody gets knocked down. I mean, there's nobody I know that in my business that's had smooth sailing, no problems. Everybody buys from them. No, you can one day you can have like you said, $1 million client, and you're living on top of the world. And the next day they call you up and say, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to be moving forward anymore." What do you do then?
Exactly.
You have to constantly evolve, constantly. I call it, look for clients and use your research and your contacts that you have just to get people to find out who you are and what you can do. And that's constantly all the time. I see so many young people I deal with now, and their whole goal is to be famous. And I tell them all the time, I said, famous, I call it TikTok famous. I said, you want to be TikTok famous? I said, that's not that's not something you should put your mind. And I don't never derail their dreams, but I just try to ask them, what happens if plan A doesn't work? Do you have a plan B? And then on top of it, do you have a plan C? Because see, plan A and plan B are what you think about. Plan C is what the man upstairs has for you. Because he can always throw a wrench in it. And you think you're going straight ahead. So you know what? I think I'm going to throw this wrench in here and see if you can handle that. And if you can't handle it, then he knows you're not ready for the next step. So like you said,
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. I just believe the fact that you never know what can go wrong. So it's always best to err on the side of it going wrong. And that's not pessimistic. That's just being strategy-wise, because anything can go wrong. Just like the pandemic happened. So many people didn't think nothing would happen to their jobs, nothing would happen to their businesses, anything like that. The pandemic happened, and just like that, people's businesses shut down. And one thing about it, shutting down a business is easier than starting it back up again.
Sure. Absolutely. It's a heavy lift.
It's a heavy
lift. And especially if you have been pushing and you finally got some momentum, it's hard to restart those engines a lot of times.
And it's not your fault. Sometimes the people who you were doing the building with, their businesses tapered off.
Absolutely.
They lost what they were doing. So now it's a roll down effect. It rolls down the hill on top of you. And so you have to be able to pivot, like you said, to say, you know what can I do to get this business back up? Or what avenue could I go into to enhance my business? Or what can I do to propel my business to more people? And it's just a matter of just putting your nose to the grindstone and using your past, what you've been through, to help your future. Because everybody doesn't realize that the past that you went through is going to be helping you with your future. So that's why they always tell you, never talk about people on the way up the way ladder or way down and see them again. Keep those relationships, because you never know what side of the ladder you're going to be. And it can happen no matter, in a blink of an eye, it can happen to you. So it's just a matter of just keeping those relationships, however you keep them, keep them.
It is so true. I mean, it is so true, not to burn bridges, because you never know. You never know. You never know who's in a room that you might not be in, and your name may be mentioned. And so you never know how those conversations will go.
or someone mentions something and someone says, you know what? Stephanie can do that for me. I know someone who can handle that for you. Just like that. And I've got more business that way than I have through any other means for what I do. And that's how I look at it. I'm just, I know you said in mindset, I drove across from the East Coast to the West Coast. And the whole time I was driving across here, I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything solidified that I was going to do. I just had made up my mind that I was done with this and I wanted to try something new. And that was going from the East to the West. And getting out here and seeing the opportunities that were there and here, it just propelled me to just say, you know what? I think I did my mind was in the right situation, the mindset to do this, because I was prepared for it. And the rest is history, they say.
And that's a big leap, and I think that that's kind of the same situation that I find myself in is when the global pandemic happened. I was in law school. I just finished my first year, and I had relocated to Henderson because I was going to go ahead and develop a casino. I wasn't really 100% excited about it, but they had put together $3.5 billion. So it was like the first money I had to go ahead and launch my own development company. So let's go with it, right?
Totally.
But thankfully, the pandemic happened and everything shut down. And before it happened, I really had done an assessment once I really understood where the casino was located. And I just said, you know what? I'm not doing it. And I was having a conversation with God. I was like, look, I waited this long. I've given up everything else that I had. There ain't no way that I want casino to be my legacy business, hurting people. Like, that's just not for me. Somebody else, that could be their business. But for me, it just is not how I want to live. I was like, I don't even like casinos. And truthfully, when I come to Vegas, I hadn't even put a nickel in a slot machine. Like, it's not even a place that I want to be. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why do I want to have a $3.5 billion noose around my neck? And regret, hate going to work every day.
I'm with you on that. If people don't understand that you have a choice. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. Now, if you work in a job, and I tell people all the time, I've worked jobs I didn't want to work, but they helped me move to the next level. But you have to find, like I said before, if you love what you do, just find something you love what you do, and you won't feel like it's work. You get up every morning without the alarm clock. Oh, I got to drink coffee. I got to do this to get motivated to go. Not if you love what you do. I tell people all the time, I say, pick out one thing you like to do every day. And they pick that out. I say, now, if you can make a living doing that, would you do it? Yeah, then that's what you need to be focusing on. Find something you love to do. I think most people you see who are successful in their businesses or whatever their endeavors may be, they love what they do, just like you just said. You didn't want to wake up every day going to the casino because that's not in your heart. That's not in your. Imagine if you had to do that for 20 years. How it would drain you, and just still you'd be one of those people sitting in retirement going, I hate it every day at work. Who wants to do that? Who wants that legacy? Like you said, who wants that legacy? That's why I tell people, my retirement is my repast because that's when I stop working. The Lord gives me the ability to wake up every morning, get out of bed on my own, and do what I can do. I'm going to do it every day because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy, talking about their products and how we can move it, and just sharing my experience with them. I enjoy it every day. Every day I enjoy it.
Excellent. That's what it's all about. And so I guess when we say then manifestations, that those efforts between the mindset and the motivation, then that has created all of the manifestations. So pick up where you said you made the trek across country. You didn't have a job in mind yet. You went for it. So then what happened? What manifested?
Well, I knew about two people out here. I had one good friend that I knew from the casino business who was already out here. And I just said, okay, I come out for a couple of weeks and then I'll go back, back to the East and, get back to work over there. Well, I went to an event with him and I met the president of a radio station. And they said, we just had a conversation, just what do you do? Where have you been? Where you from? Just a mundane, I call cocktail chatter. And next thing I know, how people pass business cards back in those days. She called me up and said, would you mind coming to the office? I wanted to talk to you. I'm like, okay. I'm just thinking it's part of the whole social dynamic. Well, I went there and we had a conversation, and next thing I knew, I was working for the radio station. And that was, as you say, manifesting, that manifests everything I've done in California since that day. It was that started right there. And I had not been in the radio business. I've been in marketing and sales, but I've never been in the radio business. So that was another pivot to learning that nuance of that business and, developing it. People say, I mastered it. Well, mastering something is all in how you look at it. I grew to understand it very well and knew how to make it work for my clients. And after that, the next thing I knew, I had an opportunity to leave the radio station and go work in Costa Rica for a year, running a radio station down there, doing the marketing and advertising for them. Didn't speak a word of Spanish, but I was down in Costa Rica doing that job for a whole year and came back. And that's when I developed, I said, you know what? I think I can start my own business now because I've seen the front end, the back end, the sideways. And so I started Longfellow Media Group. And what we do now, like I said, we're a boutique consulting firm that basically sits down with clients and tries to show them how to move their businesses and what best avenues they should take and what their budget should be and what they should look at the return, things of that nature. And that's what we do today. We do it every day.
I love it.
And that's how I got to California. I tell people all the time, the East Coast people always ask me, when you coming home? I keep telling them, next month. I'll be back next month. And that's been almost 29 years. So I haven't quite got back there yet. I visit back all the time, but because all my family is still there. I'm the only one carrying the flag out here for my family name in California. It's just me. I'm the Christopher Columbus of my family.
Well,
all my family is there.
well, good thing you made a good name. So the name is good.
I hope so. I try my best too. You have some people that, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but I always try to be as honest with people as I possibly can be with them. And, like you said, all the time, I try to govern their expectations, because some people's expectations are not, in the right framework. Like you open a hamburger stand, you're not going to compete against McDonald's. Okay. No matter how you think and what you want to do, maybe years down the road, but don't go in there thinking you can beat McDonald's. And I just use them as an example because of their global reach that they have. And it's like, just do what you do best and build your niche, and good things will happen. Just keep doing it every day. Keep doing it every day.
Absolutely. No, it's absolutely true. Well, as usual, this conversation always comes and goes so fast. When I'm scheduling guests, they think, oh my goodness, what do I have to do? I'm like, trust me, it's a light conversation. You will naturally flow. And before you know it, it'll be done.
You're right. You did tell me that early, because I said, okay, how long? I said, oh boy, it's going to be. And I'm telling you, I'm looking down at my wife going, oh, it's over with. Okay. I didn't talk about, no, never mind.
See, it wasn't even painful. See,
no.
I said it wouldn't hurt. It really didn't hurt.
You've been telling me, and I have to admit, I was remiss in not doing it early with you. And that was a little bit of fear and a little bit of conflict of just scheduling. But now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, this was, you said, it was painless and very informative. And I hope you get more guests and more people to come into your podcast to hear what you have to say, because you are very, very good, and you're a very good person. And I wish you nothing but the best in your endeavors, because if I could be of any help, please, you know my number. You can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help you any way I can.
Don't worry. As soon as our show is done, I'm the first call that you're going to get, because I already have assignments we need to talk about. I was like, So I said, so I realized that, you know what? The universe always creates perfect timing. So there's never no, this was the perfect time, because trust me, I need you right now.
Well, I'm available. Our team is available and always willing to sit down and roll up our sleeves and go to work.
Excellent. So listen, how would anyone that wants to reach out to you, how should they reach out and get in touch with you?
Oh, I can give you my email. It's Wilkin, that's WILKIN, the number 55 at PacBell, PACBELL.net. I'm probably one of the only people that still have the PacBell moniker, because I'm grandfathered in. They told me that.
All right. So then we're going to fix that. So we can fix that with the branding on the business side. So I got you on that one.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Fantastic. Well, Overton, just like I told you, I'm glad that you came on and had an opportunity to chat. I'm looking forward to being able to talk offline about some opportunities that I think I see some great opportunities for collaboration, and I definitely need your expertise and guidance right at this particular juncture, in everything. So where we are. So I'm looking forward to that. And are there any last nuggets that you'd like to share with anyone listening, just around this whole idea of, why mindset is so critical and how it really does underpin everything that you're going to do?
Yeah, I go back to what I said very early in our conversation. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's the mindset you have to carry with you as you go out into your business world, or to your creative world, or your entrepreneur world. You have to be in your soul something you really enjoy doing. Otherwise, it's nothing but work. That's all it is. And everybody works, but the people who love what they do, they're not working. They're enjoying their life and enjoying what they want to do. So that's the mindset I would like to leave with people. Just find your niche, find what you love to do, and just do that and be happy, because life is short. and life can be fun. But if you don't, and otherwise, it can be just work. And as we all know, work ain't all that fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will catch up with you after this show.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to it.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. And so, everyone, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Overton. Like I said, Naked with Dr. Money is just that, an opportunity to have a behind the scenes conversation about mindset, motivations, and manifestations. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And guess what? If it's Wednesday, if it's noon, Pacific Daylight Time, it's time for Naked with Dr. Money. So please mark your calendar, and I hope you'll join me. I broadcast and the show runs on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and a few more channels out there. So check me out. All right. And I'll see you next Wednesday. In the interim or until then, be well. Okay. Take care.